Fable 3 is a 2011 Ubisoft game where you play as either the princess or the prince. Wait, this isn't a Ubisoft game? Well then, this is very off-brand for me.
He's going off book.
How am I possibly going to rip it apart? Oh well, I'm sure I'll find a way. I've been putting off reviewing this game for quite a while now because usually when I review a game I'm saying how bad it is, but Fable 3 accounts for at least 60% of my childhood, and I felt that with replaying it I would find all the horrible flaws that my younger, more feeble 2011 mind didn't pick up on. Many would say Fable 3 is the undisputed greatest game of all time, and they're wrong, but it is good. It was released in 2011 by Lionhead Studios before they were redacted out of existence by Microsoft in 2016 after the failed launch of Fable Legends. Okay, sir, so hear me out. Okay. Fable Legends is slightly underperforming at the moment.
No, for sure, yeah.
But with a careful incision of manpower and...
Fire everyone and shut it down. I love my job.
So, in the beginning, you get the choice to be either the prince or the princess? Are we sure they're different people? Look eerily similar. The opening of the game shows the ruthlessness of Albion as well as the game's problems, which you will have to overcome. We are also introduced to the main character, the chick... Oh. No, he's dead. The first act of this game is vitally important and very well put together. Very early on we meet Elliot, the princess's first romantic interest, who we can tell is a genuinely good person by his care for the workers of Bowerstone Industrial. We can see protesters lining the streets and then introduced to the first antagonist, Michael Fassbender, or Logan, your brother, the king. The first few choices you make in this game have little to no impact on, well, anything. However, your first encounter with Logan sparks a decision with actual consequence. You can either save the protesters or your side piece. And I was going to choose to kill Elliot just because of his haircut, but hearing how much he wanted me to kill him, killed the protesters.
The boy lives. Kill the rest now.
Please.
This early showing of power from Logan instantly establishes him as a true villain, as the decision you make has no effect on him either way. I like his character. He's not your typical 2011 villain who's so irredeemably evil that there just isn't any choice over which side you should really be on.
Sorry. House rules.
Fable 3 really shines on the grey area of its characters, and everyone can be seen as either a hero or a villain, depending on your point of view. Logan, for example, is seen as a dictator by most on the surface, and well, he is. But he has his reasons, which you'll find out about later in the game. He has cut the budget all across Albion, putting many into suffering and killing off the weak.
I'll trade you my doll for some food. She's really good, honest. Her name's Sadie.
However, fortifying Albion for the long run. He knows that a war is coming and is acting to protect his people, by killing a few now and saving the masses later.
Darkness is coming to our land. It cannot be reasoned with, it cannot be halted.
Many choices in this game can be boiled down to the trolley problem. Should you intervene to save more lives, sacrificing a few?
I made the trolley problem real.
This grey area is the main reason I'm making this video. All of the gameplay in this video was recorded by my girlfriend, so thanks to her for...
Oi, it's not believable that you have a girlfriend. You're gonna have to change the line.
The choices you make become more important as the game goes on, with them at first being very easily seen as the good and the bad option, but later becoming more morally ambiguous. The game shines in its consequences for your choices. You can build a school and have some of the children die when you can't afford to protect them in war. Or you can build a brothel instead, which provides over half of Albion's economy and allows you to save the children in the long run. I mean, that decision isn't particularly hard to make, but you get what I mean. Each decision you make to benefit yourself will have devastating consequences for everyone else, and often there's literally no way to save everyone. This game does have a case of I just picked up a gun for the first time and now I'm a master itis, but it kinda gets away with it because of how satisfying it is, even if it is ridiculously easy. Like, it's literally just left click and they die. Gun accuracy isn't even a part of the game. The Fable series was unlike any other at the time and arguably to this day. Its mixture of unique combat, compelling plots and British humour made it a series you either loved or hated. As a Briton myself, I find the humour ironically quite good. I mean, it's bad, but it's meant to be bad. So, that makes it good. Right?
My favourite things are music and sunshine and love. And pain.
I mean, Simon Pegg can make anything funny, so they were already off to a good start by the casting stage. I mean, maybe not anything. Hot Fuzz, for example. While we're talking about casting, Fable 3 possibly has the most phenomenal lineup of any piece of media, possibly ever. John Cleese, Michael Fassbender, Stephen Fry, Naomi Harris, Ben Kingsley, Simon Pegg, and Jack from that Beanstalk film basically comprise a full Variety Awards after party, and Microsoft, having just acquired Lionhead, were like,
Okay, so how much money did we make this year?
enough to cure world poverty.
Don't be ridiculous. What about the Oscar nominees? Who got nominated?
I don't understand the question.
Okay, I don't care. Hide them all.
The leveling system in this game works really well, and that it isn't just grind XP and you'll get stronger. Well, it kind of is, but the XP you get goes towards guild seals, which you invest into learning in-game skills. You can learn how to buy houses, or dye your hair green, or do even more damage with the one-tap fireball spell for some reason.
There is a great
It's similar to Skyrim's skill tree, but just better in every imaginable way.
magic within you.
The first hour of this game is purely world building. We're set up with a villain, the setting, and what we must do to overcome the villain. Next follows a few hours of fetch quests, collect the box, kill the mercenary, etc, etc. The gameplay in Fable 3 for me sums up what a fantasy game should be. The story is linear, but there is enough grinding required that you can't just speedrun through the main plot and finish by killing a poxy dragon in under 2 hours. There are enough unique quests to keep you entertained at all times, and all of your actions affect how the public see you. If you go around laughing at homeless children, people will hate you, similarly to real life. But if you play patty cake with prostitutes, the public will be more likely to marry you for retrieving a ring from a river, just like real life. The romance options in Fable 3 were far superior to that of any other game of the time. You don't just wear a necklace and instantly everyone loves you. You have to grind through quests for everyone's affection, just to find out they aren't romanceable and that you've wasted 2 hours for nothing. I assume anyway, obviously, that's never happened to me. The characters in the Fable series are the perfect blend of comedic and relatable, so that it's plausible they're real people, but doesn't remind you about how awful the real world is. You know, like when you play New Vegas and every character is so deep and psychologically haunting that it makes you wish you were never born?
Is it any wonder my legion has so little love for you?
Yeah, there's none of that. But the characters aren't just pieces of code. Well, they are, but they're built up enough to empathise with. The sex scenes in this game were one of the things that have haunted my nightmares for years now. Obviously you don't see anything, but there isn't any skip button, so when your parents come into the room and you're a 9-year-old child, your only option is to smash your monitor and blame it on the dog.
Oh, yeah. So good to be...
What the hell was that? What happened to the money? It was the dog. Please, believe me. Your time has finally come, boy.
Obviously there isn't a remastered version of this game, as Microsoft vanquished Lionhead to the Soul Cairn, so we can't judge it harshly on the graphics, which are quite pretty at times, especially for a game released in 2011. You have no idea the struggle I faced trying to make this game run on my PC. First you have to find one of the few Steam keys floating around the ether, download it, run it, realise it won't run, search why it isn't running, watch an hour of tutorials on how to deceive your PC into believing it's running on Microsoft Vista, run the game, go and buy a new processor because yours has blown up trying to deceive your PC that it's running on Microsoft Vista, delete games for Windows, download an XLive file and replace it for the original, then play the game. Something tells me Microsoft aren't pushing this game as much as they did back at launch. We'll instead turn our attention towards the world design. Some people would argue that world design is the most important part of a fantasy RPG, and whilst they would be wrong, it is important. Fable 3 manages to balance almost every landscape you could possibly want in a fantasy setting. From the Victorian London-esque streets of Bowerstone to the cosy village of Brightwall to the murky forest Morningwood. Each location is so distinctly different to any other that you can actually have opinions regarding each place, and the sickening events that occur in each stick with you forever. You get other games, which I won't name, where every location seems oddly familiar, but not because you've been there before, but because it's a reskin of another location. Now, the sound design, in my opinion, is what is most vital to an immersive experience, be it in a film, game, or something else that requires good sound design. I can't think of anything. It can't be denied that Fable 3 excels in this department, being nominated for a BAFTA and a Golden Reel Award, which is an award for sound design. Out of the 5 nominations they got, they won... 0. What did win then? Oh, of course it did. Don't get me started on that piece of shit. When I'm sad, I think back to when Jason got hit by... What was I talking about? Fable 3, right. So this game has good sound, but not that good because it won nothing. And as we all know, the Game Awards produce unbiased results and definitely isn't just a collection of millionaires paying off another bunch of millionaires to give Last of Us 2 Game of the Year.
The Last of Us Part 2.
Good award show. See you next year.
Watching the awards was actually hilarious though. Like when they got to VR and it was Alex against 4 games that probably never had more than 10 concurrent viewers. Imagine Marvel's Iron Man VR had won. There would literally have been riots on the streets. When you have to put VR in the title of your VR game, you already lost the war. It's like going to church and the priest saying, today we're going to be reading a passage from the Bible. Book. Replay value is essentially important if you want to have an ongoing fan base who play the game because it's genuinely fun, not only for nostalgia reasons after the game has faded into the dust. Yeah, they didn't do well on that front. It doesn't help it's basically impossible to play the game if you aren't a cyber criminal, but the game is fairly dusty, it can be said. Okay, one final section because I'm gonna have an aneurysm soon. The fallback of the game. The fucking gnomes. I'm not an easily aggravated person, but those gnomes. Those cursed gnomes. I can hear them taunting me from undisclosed locations whenever I step outside now.
I hate you.
It's here.
But honestly, did anyone ever find them all? I sunk months of my life into this game, and there was always a few that evaded me, no matter how long I looked. There's nothing like saving an entire kingdom from certain death to be taunted by an inanimate object. Whenever I think of gnomes, it just reminds me of Romeo and Juliet. Remember that film? Yeah. Makes it much worse.
That just about sums up the video because my soul hurts now. And that's never a good sign. If you enjoyed the video, good for you. If you didn't, kind of weird you watched it all. Bye.